Wow, guys, we have a new video we're going to react to. Dr. Phil bulges his eyes out at Whoopi Goldberg from what she said. So stick on to the back of the interview to see what I have to say. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe if you're new. And as always, let me know what to react to, but I'll get right to it.
In like '08, '09, smartphones came on, and they stopped living their lives and started watching people live their lives.
We start with agreement, and then he's going to set the whole place on fire.
So we saw the biggest spike and the highest levels of depression, anxiety, loneliness, and suicidality since records have ever been kept.
And also, not controversial, that depression, suicidality has grown with our use of phones. It's been terrible.
And it's just continued on and on and on. And then COVID hits 10 years later.
I strongly suggest you guys stick on to the end of the video because I'm going to have a lot of stuff to say about this.
And the same agencies that knew that are the agencies that shut down the schools for 2 years.
Okay, so now look at his eyeballs bulging out of his head. Dr. Phil has become a sideshow freak. But his comments are correct that the same experts that knew about the lack of activity and what kids were doing on the phone also knew that you can't take kids out of the public in social distancing. And so they might have saved their life regarding the virus. That's not what I'm arguing at all. I'm only saying if you put kids in what is essentially solitary confinement in a home and no longer allow them to go outside and play with each other in public groups, like there's a certain amount of socialization that happens in our school, the experts knew it would damage them to some degree.
Who does that? Who takes away the support system for these children? Who takes them away and shuts it down?
Who does that? It's people like The View. He's going, who does that? Who shuts it down when they knew there would be damage?
And by the way, when they shut it down, they stopped the mandated reporters from being able to see children that were being abused and sexually molested, and in fact sent them home and abandoned them to their abusers with no way to watch, and referrals dropped 50 to 60%.
The View, because they're Democrats and they have politicized this issue, anyone who talks like Dr. Phil right now, they're going to see him as some crazy Trumpy Republican Christian nationalist redneck.
So there was also a pandemic going on. They were trying to save.
They were trying to save kids' lives.
Now they're falling over each other now. Whoopi and they were trying to save people's lives. That's all they were trying to do, is trying to save them from the. Okay, I'm not denying the attempt. They were trying.
So remember, we know a lot of folks who died during this. So it wasn't, people weren't laying around eating bond, but
he says not school children. And he means, Whoopi's saying something correct, by the way. We know people who died, and Dr. Phil is saying something also correct. You know people who died, but not the school children. So locking everything down did not save their lives because they, in general, were not vulnerable.
Well, you know what? We're lucky. Maybe we're lucky they didn't, because we kept them out of the places that they could be sick.
That's not what happened. It's the kids just were not vulnerable to this particular virus the way that older people were. She has invented a political narrative.
Because no one wanted to believe we had an issue.
Now, that's not true, that no one wanted to believe that we had an issue. Everyone knew we had an issue.
Are you saying no school children died of COVID?
Now, Ann Navarro gives a terrible argument saying, are you saying no kids died of COVID? That literally is not what he said. He didn't mean zero. This is a weird thing where once you think that the shutdown was necessary, you now have to argue that there was no possible negative side to it. See, that's what Ann Navarro's doing, and it really shows an unsophisticated mind.
I'm saying it was the safest group. They were the less vulnerable group.
And that is not controversial. It is to The View, because they have a political agenda to demonize people who are not 100% on board, yes, sir, marching to the flag and the goose stepping in the streets.
And they suffered and will suffer more from the mismanagement of COVID than they will from the exposure to COVID. And that's not an opinion, that's a fact.
Dr. Phil has done something that is very rare to see on The View. The audience is clapping for him, and they're against all of the 5 panelists on The View. And the hosts are just going to go unglued on them. They're getting this.
Well, Phil, we don't even have time to talk it out now, man.
Oh, yeah, we can't even talk. And Phil's going like, yeah, I'd love to talk about this more. And Whoopi's like going, Dr. Phil has a book. Goodbye, everybody.
But thanks for coming. The new book is called.
Wow, guys, he hit the nail right on the head. People stopped living their lives and started watching people live their lives. That's so backwards. When I was a kid, there was Play 60, so you had to play outside for an hour of the day. My mom even made sure I play outside. It got really annoying. And now you have short form content where people just scrolling on the phone all day, just scrolling. You could tell on the COVID thing, Whoopi just knew she was gonna lose, so she tried to say something, and then it turned back on her. So then the audience even laughed at her. So let me know what you guys think. And you know, when Whoopi says this is their book, she lost the debate. So don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and let me know what to react to.